Hey, how's it going? One of the hardest things about learning jazz violin, I think, is the bow. Now, often when we're playing classical music, the bow is used in a different way to how we use the bow in jazz music, in my opinion, okay? So in classical music, if you see a bunch of quavers written out, right, chances are those quavers are meant to be played as accurately as possible. But in jazz, this is not always the case. In jazz, the main thing that we have to think about is playing with as much groove or swing as possible, making sure that all the notes are played exactly as they're written, or exactly as, well, just exactly. It's not that important. If you listen to Charlie Parker, the great saxophone player from the bebop era in the 40s, he's not playing all of his notes exactly perfectly, exactly the same. Some of the things about the music that make it great is that those little inconsistencies. And actually, as a jazz violinist, we want to sort of emulate those inconsistencies that we might hear in horn players in our own violin playing. So in this video, I've got 3 steps that I generally tend to take if I am finding a passage tough to make work as a jazz violinist. Okay, now this is, like I said, this is not something that you really want to be doing if you're trying to play anything really accurately. This is about trying to get this jazz feel. As well as these 3 steps, right at the end of the video, I'm going to show you one of my favorite exercises. It's an exercise that I was taught when I was first getting into playing jazz that helped me get some sort of offbeat feel into my playing. Okay, these 3 steps. The main time that we're going to use these 3 steps is, say, I'm imagining you're transcribing a solo, and you're enjoying yourself, you're getting some nice stuff down, you feel like you're learning, but there's like maybe one passage, or maybe the whole thing, where you're just like, I am not playing this convincingly with enough rhythm. I don't feel like I'm playing this enough within a jazz style, okay? I don't feel like I am grooving. I don't feel like I'm swinging. Or maybe it's a line that you've improvised yourself. Maybe you've heard yourself back, and you're listening to yourself, and you're like, okay, that's a nice line, but like I have not played that rhythmically convincingly, and I haven't played that with any swing. I haven't played that with any feel, okay? Yeah, these 3 steps will hopefully help you at least get on your way to playing in the way that you want to. For these 3 steps, I'm going to use this line as a way to demonstrate it, okay? Okay, step number 1, and this one is actually a really good one, and maybe even if you use this step just on its own, you might end up getting where you want to be. And what this step entails is offbeat slurs, okay? So what we're doing is we're slurring off the beat, right? We often, when we slur, say we're going to slur 2 to a bow, often when we slur on the beat like this. That was a C major scale, by the way, if you didn't work that out. Now, what we're going to try and do now is we're going to slur off the beat. We do that by sort of offsetting our bowing by playing one single note on its own at the beginning. So we go, let's say we're going to go down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, like this. 2, 3, 4. So what we did there is we offset our slurs by bowing a single bow at the beginning, and then we slurred on it. So yeah, this is a really great way to create a little bit of swing, because what we do is we're basically now emphasizing offbeats, and that can be a really nice way to make something swing. Now notice that I'm actually playing quite straight. I'm not playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. I'm not doing that. I'm going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But I'm emphasizing the offbeats, and that can really help things. So what I'm doing is I'm playing quite straight, but I am emphasizing offbeats with my offbeat slurs. All right, so that line that we were working on, let's see how that feels as just offbeat slurs. Okay, it does work. Yeah, it does work. It feels a little bit stilted, but it does work. I'm playing fully, I'm trying to play very, very straight, but I'm emphasizing offbeats. I am slurring on the offbeats. I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, blah, blah. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now that's step one. So you've got your line and you've practiced slurring offbeats, right? That's step one. Step two, it really does have to follow on from step one, because step one, we've emphasized offbeats and we've done it with slurs. Now you're going to try and do the exact same thing, but without any slurs. So you're just going to try and emphasize those offbeats. You've sort of got the sound in your ear a little bit, you've got it under your fingers, but now we're going to try and sort of do the same thing, but with separate bows. Yeah, so that makes a little bit of sense as well. Again, it doesn't feel perfect to me. It doesn't feel like how I would bow that line if I was improvising it or if I was playing it on a gig. But it does sort of swing. Okay, now we're going to go to the last step. Step number 3, we're now going to try and play it without any bowing whatsoever. So we're going to just do one long bow or maybe 2 long bows, doesn't really matter. And we're just going to try and create that swing with our left hand. Let's have a little go. Yeah, it's quite difficult. So it's a little bit more difficult to sort of feel that groove and to make that swing if we're doing it without any bowing. But what it does do is it sort of gives us the feeling of like a more relaxed right hand, right? We're not having to do as much and we're just relaxing, right? It's much easier, right? But we're not swinging as much. So we've practiced all 3 of those steps a little bit, and now what we're going to do is we're going to try and just semi-forget it all and just throw ourselves at the line and see what happens. Now this is important. It's taking all 3 of those approaches, one of which is offbeat slurs, one of which is just separate bows, and one of which is absolutely no bowing, just 1 or 2 bows to the whole thing. We're taking all 3 of those approaches and we're trying to combine them. We're trying to get the relaxed feel of the no bowing. We're trying to get the precision a little bit from the separate bows, and we are trying to get the sort of offbeat swing of the first one. And hopefully something nice comes out. Let's try. Yeah, so for me, that wasn't perfect, but I feel like it got the idea of the line forward, and it created a decent swing feel. For me, that is the way that I look at bowing. We add all of these aspects together, and we also have an element of improvisation with our bowing. It is important that we do have an element of improvisation when we are bowing, because we're going to be improvising, right? So we need to be ready to do that. We need to be ready to have a right hand that will improvise within that moment, right? So it is very important. I'm going to try again. It's going to be completely different, probably, maybe similar, but it'll be within the same vein. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, for me, what's going on there is my right arm is making some decisions. My right arm is making some decisions about creating swing. It's creating swing in the moment, and it's making those decisions in the moment. One of those decisions my right arm is making, and this is quite an important note, is to sort of forget about some of the notes. It's not that important. I said that earlier in the video. It's not that important that we play every note exactly the same and we play every note exactly perfectly. Those imperfections are actually part of what makes it jazz in a way. It's part of what makes the rhythm jazz. Those imperfections, those moments that stand out and those moments that are pulled back, those are some of the things that I think are very important within the jazz style, and those are some of the things that with our bow we have to try and bring out. Last thing, I promised you I was going to show you a special little exercise that's a little bit more specific. This one is a really nice exercise that just you can put with any scale or with any line or whatever you're learning, with any melody that's continuous quavers. And it's a good way to have a little bit of that randomness that we're looking for with offbeat slurs, basically. That's not just, because that offbeat slur pattern that we looked at right at the beginning in the video, that's quite like repetitive actually. It just repeats all the way through, right? This one is a little bit different and it goes like this. Bit faster. So it's just got a little bit more randomness to it than the offbeats, and again, it sort of emphasizes those offbeats via slurs. Basically, it emphasizes different parts of the scale or different parts of whatever you're playing rhythmically via slurs, and those slurs are sort of helpful in creating that swing. Okay, so hopefully this video has helped you. It's important for us to realize that there is no specific jazz bowing. Everybody bows completely differently, and hopefully this video has helped you do so. You can like, share and subscribe and all that stuff. Thank you very much. Goodbye.